What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me today for episode number 86 of the Car 5 podcast. You guys know me, I'm your host, Joshua. For today's episode, pretty exciting information. We're going to be talking about Aston Martin and how they're coming out with their first ever SUV, and it's called the DBX. So as usual, everyone, let's go ahead and just dive right into things. So just a little bit of food for thought before we actually get into things. I would say things are getting pretty interesting in the car world, wouldn't you say? Because it wasn't that long ago until things started changing pretty rapidly. Who would have thought Ferrari would be making an SUV? Who would have thought Aston Martin would be making an SUV? Who would have thought Pagani was thinking about making a $3 million SUV? Who would have thought companies such as Lamborghini would be making hybrids? Or Aston Martin making their first ever electric car? Or Ferrari coming out with hybrids in a future electric car? We are in such a different time in the automotive world where SUVs, hybrids, and electrics are the demand, and slowly but surely sales for some of these companies are hindering because they don't have something to offer everybody. So now we're really going to get an inside look to see which company all around is the best. Because what we're getting into is now a lot of these higher end manufacturers, supercar, hypercar manufacturers, higher end luxury manufacturers, they're all going to have a supercar. They're all going to have a hypercar. They're all going to have an SUV. They're all going to have a sedan of some sort. So now is a really interesting time to really start paying attention to the car world if you're not, because little by little, everybody's starting to offer something for everybody in terms of an SUV, a two-door, a four-door, supercar, hypercar. And now everybody's doing electrics and hypercars. Electrics and hybrids. Thus, in an ever-changing car world, today we're talking about the Aston Martin DBX, the very first ever Aston Martin SUV, which is incredible. Wanted to talk about that, intro real quick before we get into the car, because I think it is related to this episode and it is important, because I have a quote from Aston Martin of how they're saying, in referring to the DBX, the SUV, it will be the largest and most important program ever. When a company such as Aston Martin, who arguably makes one of the greatest GT selection of vehicles ever in the history of cars, is saying their most important platform and project ever is an SUV, what does that say to the ever-changing car world? Well, let's kind of look into the SUV a little bit. We don't know much about the DBX, but we do know a little bit. We do know its benchmark of who they're trying to go after is the Porsche Cayenne Turbo and the Turbo S, which is setting the standard pretty high, because keep in mind, their competition is also the Mercedes-Benz GLE 63S, which is, in my opinion, the best of the bunch right now, as well as the Lamborghini Urus. Because when you're looking at an SUV, it's not about who's the fastest, who's the quickest. What is an SUV? It's a sport utility vehicle. So how comfortable is the car? What kind of technology is in the car? Can it go off-roading? What's the usability in it? How much can you fit inside the car? Can you fit things on top of the car? How much room is on the inside? How many passengers can you take in? The SUV market is a pretty heavy competition, a very competitive world. So I think the Aston Martin does have, I think for them it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, but I'm fully supportive of them, and I want nothing other than for them to succeed, and I know they will. We do know they're going to be utilizing the twin turbocharged 4-liter V8 that is in several of the Vantage vehicles, as well as, if you didn't notice, it is a Mercedes-Benz engine. Comes from their AMG line in several of their AMG vehicles. We also know that the DBX is going to be built in Aston Martin's brand new facility in St. Athens in Wales, as well as a potential plug-in hybrid and electric version of the DBX are going to be coming out. Also very exciting, this is Aston Martin's first ever all-wheel drive vehicle. So for Aston, this is great because they're adapting every which way they can. SUV, all-wheel drive car, potential plugins and electrics. even they're adapting as well. So like I said, there's not too much to know about the DBX. A very close and personal friend of mine, I'm very fortunate to know him. He does own an Aston Martin dealership out in Texas. And last week at Monterey Car Week, they did have a dealership meeting, and he was able to go in there and look at the DBX, and he said it was great. And he thinks they're going to do well with it, and I fully believe in him, trust in him. And if Aston Martin themselves is saying it is the largest and most important program ever, that's big news. What is Aston Martin? Aston Martin is the company that a man in a well-dressed tuxedo while drinking a dry martini in one hand and has a very sexy girl in the other hand, and he goes and kills people a few minutes later because he's 007. James Bond. Are we going to start seeing SUVs, Aston Martin DBXs in the new Bond films? I don't know. Maybe we will. We are in an ever-changing car world. It's very exciting. I can't wait for the Aston Martin DBX to come out, and I think you should be excited too, because now we're seeing everybody going to become better as the competition is getting quite hefty. And I think this is a very interesting time to be a part of. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for episode number 86. Don't forget to follow on Instagram, like on Facebook. If you guys are checking out the podcast for the first time, if you're not here on YouTube already, feel free to head over to the YouTube channel, the Car 5 Podcast. Just browse around. If you guys see what you like, hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, leave a like on this video as well. You know, if you ever need anything from me, just shoot me an email, info@car5podcast.com. Don't forget, if you guys are by chance in the market or looking for your favorite hat, shirt, accessory, jacket from your favorite car company, go ahead and check out the link in description, www.tiog.com, for the best authentic car merchandise that comes directly from the manufacturer. Got a coupon code for you guys as well. Last but not least, don't forget to tune in to episode number 87. We're going to be talking about the brand new electric Mini Cooper that's coming out. And I think it looks pretty cool, actually. That is all we have, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please remember to drive safe and have a fantastic evening. Thank you.